and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff. We're so glad you're here. If you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and subscribe and get notifications when we have new videos. If you're here with us on Zoom, drop us a hi in the chat. We'd love to say hello to you. If you're here with us in person, good for you. Today's sermon is Holding On and Letting Go. It's our two-cookie communion and should be great fun and useful. Our monthly board meeting is at 1 o'clock this afternoon in the Hope Common Room and on Zoom. It's open to all. If you would like to help us on our path to becoming an anti-racist church, please consider joining our Widening the Circle of Concern work group every Monday at 3 p.m., or our White Accountability Group at WAG, which meets on campus on the first and third Sunday at 12:15. The Dallas Peace and Justice Center is promoting two special events this week with peace activist, author, and co-founder of Code Pink, Medea Benjamin. Medea has been touring Texas and will be speaking at UTA in Arlington on Wednesday and at Pan-African Connection on Friday. See the information in your order of service. That's really a handy thing. Want to know more about everything going on? Make sure you're receiving our e-blast. You can find more information on everything that's been mentioned here and more in last week's e-blast. There will be an addition to updates from Widening the Circle of Concern group also. You'll also find updates on Teamwork Tuesdays on every Tuesday, except on the fourth Tuesday of the month. We gather from 4 to 6 and help keep our campus clean, and it's good, clean fun too. It's Sunday, but we don't stop the fun after the services. Oh no. We have talk back at 11:15 when we get together and talk about the sermon and related topics. You always get something out of it, whether you come to talk or just to listen. We also have adult religious exploration at 11:15 with Sarah in the Charity North building and on Zoom. Last, but not least, we do have a member anniversary today. Claudia Clipp. It's all right, Claudia. Claudia is a great member and has done so many wonderful things for all of us. We hope that she enjoys her day.
Welcome to the UU Church of Oak Cliff. Here we gather in sanctuary, where we're free to pursue our own unique and individual spiritual journeys in an atmosphere of acceptance, compassion, and celebration. We seek to build a community where what you believe is less important than how your beliefs guide and inform your participation in the world. Ours is a community that values the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. We welcome you.
May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of love, compassion, and forgiveness. Que esta luz que ahora encendemos nos inspire a usar nuestros dones y poderes para sanar y no para herir, para ayudar y no para impedir, para bendecir y no para maldecir, para servirte a ti, espíritu de amor, compasión y perdón.
Letting Go by J. Wolin. Are we a people of holding on or of letting go? Holding on to rigid ideas or letting go and opening our minds and our hearts to something new? Holding on to certainty of how things should be, or letting go and living with the uncertainty of new ways of being in the world? Holding on to what makes us comfortable, or letting go so that we may grow, which can be uncomfortable. Holding on to what makes us safe, or letting go to make room to help others feel safe. Because holding on too long and too tightly is never good for the soul.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, oh, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, oh, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, oh, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, oh, let it shine.
In our community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another, our joys and our sorrows. We do this because each person in this community has value. Each person's experience matters. We share our sorrow with one another today, knowing that sorrow comes into each person's life, knowing that together we offer comfort. I will read what's been left for us here today, but meanwhile, those of you online, please share your sorrows publicly by posting them in Zoom chat or send them to our Facebook Messenger or speak them aloud.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love.
We also share our joys with one another, knowing that joy comes into all of our lives, knowing that joy calls unto joy, and knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration.
Because we love one another. Because we love one another, we honor each individual's spiritual journey. Because we love one another, we celebrate life's abundance in service to each other, our community, and the world. Because we love one another, we connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together. ¿Por qué nos amamos uno al otro? Honoramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. ¿Por qué nos amamos uno al otro? Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. ¿Por qué nos amamos uno al otro? Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y excepción. Así que hacemos pacto. Thank you. Be seated, please.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful, lovely spring morning this morning, enjoying all this beautiful weather. I know I don't normally make back-to-back appearances like this, but I hope you'll put up with me for another week. So if you didn't already know, today we are going to do a cookie communion. And when I was asked to do this, I was a little bit flummoxed. I've done water communions and flower communions, one of which we have coming up, by the way. But a cookie communion? Send me to Sesame Street and color me blue. I was intrigued. What in the world is a cookie communion? What is communion, for that matter? According to the basic definition, a communion is an exchange of intimate thoughts and feelings, especially one on a mental or spiritual level. It commands you to ask, what are your thoughts? How do you feel? We get asked these questions every day, and they seem simple. But a communion looks for something a little bit more in your answer. More than superficial, oh, I'm fine, or oh, it was good. A communion needs something personal, and then it needs to be shared. A shared, deeply personal experience. What might that mean to you? As Unitarian Universalists, we do love questions like that, don't we? Now, today's sermon is titled, What's Important and Letting Go. And I actually want to start with letting go. For most people, Unitarian Universalism is a found faith. We've wandered in, blistered and burned by traditional religions, wary to give this church, or any church for that matter, a second chance. In the same way, the general culture around us, that so many of us are from, is prejudiced, to say the least. If you're a woman, if you're a person of color, if you're not Christian, if you're not the right Christian, if you're neurodivergent, if you're part of the LGBT community, we have been inflicted with values that degrade us, that separate us, ideas that dehumanize us and try to make us less. And we have all come away with scars and coping mechanisms that might have kept us alive then, but they're killing us now. On a slightly lighter note, we've also just been through the worst pandemic of modern times in our country. It's left our lives unsettled and out of sorts. A lot of us lost jobs. Some of us lost homes. Far too many lost lives. We have all been uprooted and left adrift in a storm with little, if any, direction. Some of us developed some bad habits, allowed ourselves to become disconnected from the people and the pastimes that sustained us. But loss is not always a bad thing, and recognition of a loss is never a bad thing. For when you recognize things that just aren't anymore, things that aren't what you thought they were or what you wanted them to be, only then can you really begin to make change. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it is the medicine we need. And it is spring, after all, the very season of change, the season of growth. Now is the time. But in order to grow, as anyone knows if they have a garden, first you need to clean out your garden beds. You need to pull up the weeds. You need to rake out the old leaves and brambles. And you have to till the soil so that new life can take root. If we want to change ourselves, so too must we clean out our lives. We have to find newer, healthier foods to fill us, try softer, gentler ways to raise children, acknowledge our own traumas and the poisons that they have left in their wake in order to get better, in order to be better. We must remove movies and books that we know are racist, even if they used to be our favorites. We have to stop giving money to companies we know support hate, vote out politicians we know are hurting our neighbors. There are so many things in our lives that we need to let go. And with that, I would have you join with me in the first part of communion. Kathy, would you be so kind as to pass out the plates? Yes, I will in just a moment. I want to make sure everybody has a plate first. One for each side, please, Kathy. All right, so I want you, if you would please just give the plates to people and let them pass them around, please. And as you pass these plates around, I want everyone to take a cookie, but maybe take a cookie that's not your favorite. I know there's someone out there for every flavor, but this one isn't your cup of tea. Take a cookie and consider it for just a moment. Now, I say take one you don't particularly like the most because this is the cookie that we are not keeping. We have this cookie, but we don't really want this cookie. It's been given to us, it's been provided, but it's not the one we really want. And this is the cookie that we are going to crumble. All cookies should crumble. Does everyone have a cookie? Okay. Scott, I can't get you a cookie all the way up there. I wish I could. All right, if everyone has a cookie, I want you to look at this cookie, and I want you to consider it. Consider this cookie that you do not like. And I also want you to consider all the things in your life that are not serving you. Pick one, just one, that you want to work on starting from today to have it released from your life. Because the longest journeys begin with a single step. And today, let the biggest changes begin with a single cookie. Focus on the cookie. Let it become a vessel for this thing that you want to release. Let what you want to release flow out of your mind, down to your eyes as you visualize it. Allow it a moment to catch in your throat. Let the words slip out of your lips if you need to name it. And then continue to push this thought down into your heart for all the heartbreak that it has caused. And let it sit there for a moment and allow yourself to grieve. For even loss is sacred and deserving of a place. Take this visualization, this energy, this prayer, this thing you will be letting go, and pluck it out of your heart where it no longer belongs. Let it flow down your arms through steady bones and strong biceps into sturdy hands that have served you well. Into the hands that hold this cookie, and let this cookie now hold what you no longer will keep. If you would please rise with your energy inside that cookie and come to the altar where you will find a bowl. Bring that cookie. And know that when you get here, that cookie will no longer be yours. You are releasing it. We are all releasing that which no longer serves us. Come on. Form a line if you want to. Come up together, because many hands make light work, and grief shared is grief halved. Everyone bring those cookies to the bowl and crumble them. Use both hands. Release the rage and the grief by grinding that infuriating nonsense that you have carried too long to dust. Wipe your hands and be done with it. Use both hands, Leah. I know you can. I saw that, Leah, cookie thief. Cookie thief. And now that we have released our cookies, let us take a moment to breathe, a silent moment of prayer. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4. And now that we have let go of that which no longer serves us, I want to touch on the next part of today's sermon. What's important? And this is an absolutely loaded question. Where are you? What's important is different for everyone. And it's actually something we've been talking about over where I normally lurk in religious exploration. If you bother to pay attention to my Facebook posts, we've been slogging through Building Your Own Theology, a course that helps people define and recognize their own faith and beliefs. And there's a wonderful section in the first book called Imperatives of My Theology that helps people figure out what their values are. But before they go into the whats and the whens and the hows of all the religious values from all the different religions, it gives a list called the Criteria for Clarifying Values. And I wanted to share that with you today because I think it's important. The Criteria for Clarifying Values says that values, meaning, and convictions are, number one, freely chosen. Freely chosen. Number two, chosen from among alternatives. Number three, chosen reflectively and deliberately. Number four, values are to be prized and cherished. You feel good about them. Number five, they are willingly and publicly affirmed. Number six, your values are acted upon. And number seven, your values are part of a consistent pattern of behavior. That's a tough list, especially the last two for me. With ADHD, creating consistent anything is a nightmare. But the things that are really important to me, like you guys, I managed to make time for. But it's a very thoughtful approach, this list, to what's important. Because what's important to you, the values, the decisions, the practices that you put in place in your life, all these things need to be true. You have to be able to choose them for yourself. You need to actually have choices to begin with, and you need to feel good about the choices that you make and be willing and able to really live them. And it doesn't just apply to religious values either, but to everything in your life. Your health, your education, your career, your family, your friends, the causes you champion, the hobbies you pursue. They mean a lot more when it's something you've chosen for yourself thoughtfully and wholeheartedly. We've all made a choice by being here. So I want you to think about a decision or change that you've been meaning to make, or one that you already have made, but maybe you haven't given it the time and attention it really deserves. Maybe it's time to start a new diet or just cook more instead of eating out all the time. Maybe it's a new meditation routine or a new exercise program. To read more books, to read that important academic article you've been putting off. Or maybe it's more along the lines of something I suggested last week, and you want to add more people of color to the media you consume. So join me now in the second part of the cookie communion. If we could pass that plate around again, Kathy. We have 2 plates so that everyone gets a cookie. And this time, as we pass the cookie plate around, I want you to take your favorite cookie on the plate. The one you will always choose, the cookie that you would eat a whole box of in one sitting and only feel slightly guilty. That one. For me, it's the Samoas. Those Girl Scouts, man, they get me every time. Now, some of you might be allergic to chocolate. There's shortbread in there, I know. One's got pecans and one's got lemon on it. There's snickerdoodles too. There's chocolate chip peanut butter. I personally put the Samoas on there because they're awesome. I see you. Yes, you agree. Great minds think alike. So I want everyone to take this cookie that you have chosen, this cookie that's your favorite. Don't eat it yet. We're not done. I know it. So take this cookie that you have chosen and let us imbue into it the power of the choice that you have chosen. Put your feet on the floor and let energy rise up from the green earth to empower you. Let that energy curl through your toes with pleasure. Let it curve up your calves, swirl through your knees, and climb up your thighs to the base of your torso. Let it spiral up your solar plexus in warm waves. Let it hitch in your breath before letting it plant itself in your heart, pulsing slow and steady, warm and true. Let it linger because it belongs there. But let just a little bit of that energy up your shoulders and down your arms again to your hands. And let that energy, that prayer, fresh from the earth and still in your heart, but now also in your hand, pour into that cookie. Let it bloom like a spring bud. Let it glow like a halo around that delicious little morsel. And now I want you to eat your cookie. Savor it. Let it nourish you and fulfill you and empower you. For we are our choices. And I am so proud of the choices you have made that have brought you here. Blessed be, and thank you for joining us today.
Join me in reciting the Widening the Circle of Concern covenant. We the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff, commit ourselves to the study and dismantling of racism and oppression within our congregation. We commit our congregation and ourselves to the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We commit ourselves to listening, to learning, and to action. When we fail, we commit ourselves to trying again and again. We covenant to begin this work and to continue until all of us can truly say that we are a beloved community of justice, equity, and compassion. Thank you.
I am back with a reading that I did not write because there are a lot of wise words out there to be shared, and I'm here to give voice to some of them. Today's reading was written by Brittany Packett, now Brittany Packett Cunningham. She's an American activist, co-founder of Campaign Zero, a policy platform to end police violence. She was a member of President Barack Obama's task force on 21st century policing, and she was previously executive director for Teach for America in St. Louis, Missouri, which means that she was right there when Ferguson went down, and she became a key figure in planning and coordination of the protests that were sparked when a police officer shot and killed Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. So this excerpt is from a 2018 Ware Lecture. The Ware Lecture is the keynote lecture of the UUA's annual General Assembly, the big meeting at which the whole denomination's business is conducted, and there's a lot of worship services and speeches and whatnot. And the Ware Lecture is the big deal lecture. And she gave this lecture in 2018, and this is an excerpt from that lecture. So, Time to Tune In by Brittany Packett. I'm not going to touch it. It feels a little high, but y'all can hear me. You can't be prejudiced, racist, sexist, or homophobic. After all, you belong to this faith. You don't carry pitchforks and march with the Charlottesville gang. You didn't vote for Trump, and you started the Women's March chapter in your city. You are a good person with good intentions. You are a good person with good intentions. You love everyone, and your tax returns prove it. But I challenge you, as Packett says, I challenge you, I charge you, if here is where you're tuned out, this is precisely and exactly the time to tune in. Do you love people of color, or do you tolerate us only as long as we aren't too disruptive to your agenda? Do you love LGBTQ people? Or do you only love the cis white male ones and forget the L, the B, the T, and the Q, especially the ones of color in your fight? Do you reflect the culture of your congregation in your leadership, or do you check boxes and fill quotas? You do not have to be white supremacist to benefit from white supremacy any more than you have to be a misogynist to benefit from the patriarchy, or a homophobe to still benefit from straight privilege. Ms. Packnett writes, and I concur, it is not enough just to not be racist. We must expect ourselves to be actively anti-racist. It is not enough to not be sexist. We must expect ourselves to be intentionally and consistently disruptive of gender discrimination. It is not enough to not be transphobic. We must expect ourselves to be obsessed with supporting the achievement of justice for trans people across the globe as we are with our own. That's the charge. This is me speaking now. That is the charge. We've said it up here a lot of times, and we're going to keep saying it because it's an ongoing thing. Someone I was reading recently was talking about Martin Luther King's arc of justice and that bending. Well, that bending it stays bent when it gets bent because we hang on to it and keep pulling into that arc of justice. So that's the thing. Thank you.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place that is so sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Members, if you are contributing cash towards your pledge, please use the envelope provided and write your name on it. To text your donation, see the number on your order of service, 214-225-5996, or for more options, see the website www.oakcliffuu.org/donate.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
Your closing words for today come to you from Sweet Home Teacup. Being human means we are of this earth. May we recognize and abandon the familiar attitudes and practices that do not serve the whole. We are who we are, and we have the opportunity to be who we want to be, to create a new inheritance for the future. May our thoughts, words, and actions in our daily lives assist in dismantling paradigms of oppression and suffering. May we give thanks for our individual place in time and space, to our families and our relationships that touch us and change us. May we give thanks to the wise teachers who help us remember how to be and the chance to make it so. Underneath and within these stories and histories is our humanity. Being human means that we are of this earth. Being human means that we are of these waters. We are fire. We are the atmosphere. We are the sun, the moon, and the stars. We are all that we see, and the wisdom is revealed by looking in between.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.
We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers